Hi there, I'm Wendy Down, and I thought today, what is it, December 19th, Friday, December 19th, 18th, that I would make a short video for those of you that have been following along with the big brain change program that just ended on the Consciousness Playground, and give you a little information about an insight that I just recently had that is going to be the foundation for all of the work that I want to do going forward in 2021. And as part of that, I want to just introduce you to some new group programs that I'm going to be offering in case you want to stick around with me a little bit more often in an alive way next year. So where to start? I want to tell you a story, and I want to tell you about something I read that happened to someone else that kind of gave me great clarity. I just finished a book called The Application of Impossible Things, My Near-Death Experience in Iraq by Natalie Sudman or Sudman. There it is on my Kindle. And in this book, Natalie was blown up. She was riding in a vehicle working for the US military and suffered critical injuries. And during the time of the explosion, she experienced a near-death experience that she describes in great detail in the book. It's a great read, it's not very long. But there was one part of it that really pulled together for me everything that that I've been studying and learning and applying in my work up until now. And that gives it a way to move to the next level in 2021. And what Natalie said was, while she was out of body, she had a number of different experiences, but she went to a place that she calls the healing environment, I think, where she met with some other beings that helped her design and decide what she wanted, what body she wanted to come back into. So her body had suffered, her eyeball had come out and her hand was almost severed. And they were in this healing environment and she had decided to come back into her body. And so they were sort of playing out different scenarios of what her injuries could look like going forward, that to see which scenarios would best serve her purposes that she was coming back into, physical life, into her body for. And so they were able to sort of like imagine if she lost her hand and then see all that, what that effect would have and what would happen if she lost her eye. And she describes all this in detail. But the thing that was so striking about it was that on that level of awareness, they understood that she was coming in for purpose, that it all worked out okay in the end, that time, even if it was going to be 40 years of life that she was living with these injuries, that the results would be so impactful and purposeful for the reason she was being there, that they would be worth it, and she was willing to take all that on. But the tone of their interactions was mostly a feeling of like goofing off, like it was all hilarious. Like they could envision, a certain, injury and then see how that would function. And just mostly laughing and goofing off, which seems like to our human experience really distasteful and insensitive. But this has also been my own experience in terms of yielding the most significant effects in changing my own internal states, addressing physical issues I've had, and also in my work with clients, groups, and in the remote work, the remote healing work that I do. that the most impactful state is when you are so far removed from the suffering and relating to whatever the scenario is as problem. It's like, you know, notes on the piano, you got the C here and here and here and here. It's like our feeling states exist in octaves like that too. And so if you have a scenario like a physical injury or something, that the state from which your consciousness has the largest impact is when you are in like the highest feeling state that we can reach as human beings, which is a feeling of joy. It's a feeling of like nothing's at stake here. It's all okay. It's a sense of tremendous well-being, and so much so that I barely even have to pay it attention. And a lot of people that do like energy work or healing work talk about reaching the state, say if you're working with someone where you feel the joy of the realization of that, the result that you want even before it's occurred. So it's a feeling of joy that the outcome has already happened. Which is true, that's a very coherent state, but implied in that actually still exists some preference for the result that you want to occur. And this higher state that Natalie made so clear in her book, and the one that's been so impactful for me, is broader than that, where it includes an awareness of either yourself or the person you're working with as a whole being that exists beyond the human experience, that's having a chosen series of events in their lives for their own purposes. And so to be able to be with, you know, the pain that they're experiencing, but simultaneously see and know them on that higher level. Without the situation needing to change, but to see the situation itself with joy, if that makes sense. And I'll give you a couple examples of this. This is just a silly one. But a couple of years ago, I had this like growth on my ear right here. And it kind of was like cartilage or something that just stuck out, and my hair was short then. And so people would look at it. It was like this little bump that was like drew people's attention. This was on the side of my head. And it was embarrassing. And so, you know, working with my own emotions around that, I worked with the embarrassment of it so that I could be neutral, but I still wanted it gone. And so what I started to do was just sort of think of it as my laughter bump, so that whenever I saw it, I intentionally made it make me laugh, just as it was. I mean, underlying it was still like the desire for it to change, but just to have an in the moment, a different emotional response and appreciation for what it was. It started to like just really be the source of a generation of feeling of joy. And once I did that for, I don't know, a month or two, it went away. It just disappeared. And so I have known to practice that for myself. I actually had exactly the same thing happen on like a spot that I had on my chest. That was like one of those sunspots or age spots or whatever they are. And I started to think of it in the same way. And when I looked at it, to feel, you know, the hilarity of it. And this coincides too with, some people talk about, you know, when they're moving through life, they get sort of guidance from angels or guides or inner wisdom. When I turn inside to find some guidance, what I get is basically like the Three Stooges. It's just like, if there's somebody that's guiding me, they're just like, woo, 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 and poking each other in the eye and just so busy goofing off that they aren't paying whatever problem I am bringing to them any attention at all. And so what that, has come to convey to me is how I can be in that state as well. It's just a reassurance that all is truly, really deeply well behind the scenes. And I have other stories related to that, but, going ahead into 2021, this is really the state that I want to help people cultivate. It's actually always present for me when I'm working with people individually. The way it is for me, if somebody comes for me for a session, say, is, they will come and they'll be talking at this level about whatever it is, the difficulty they're having or what they're feeling or what the problem is. But simultaneously for me, I hear and relate to an experience and feel compassion for the human experience they're having, but simultaneously, I also sense, see, and feel the part of them that is whole, solid, feels calm, peaceful, clear, and has a much broader wisdom and knowing of what's going on. And so during a session, the whole work that I do is to help the person go from here, which is their emotional experience, to here, which is where really the bulk of them and their true self is. And that just happens over and over again in a session. And people learn how to do that actually fairly quickly for themselves, which is all of what my work and writing and teaching and recordings have been about, how to do that. So in 2021, I'm going to continue doing that with individuals. I have a new 6-month program coming out for individuals that want to work together. I'm having a big website redesign that should be launched hopefully in February, maybe. Continue doing my remote sessions because that's the most direct way to work with people on these, states. Higher states that are much more coherent and explained completely by quantum physics. But the new thing I'm going to introduce is small group programs that small groups of people can come together who will have similarities between where they're at and the purpose that they're bringing for learning how to do this for themselves. I'll be posting details about that, but there'll be one type of group for people that are new to this work that aren't actually familiar with finding in themselves, the feeling or sensation of what's going on for them and then feeling that shift. So that'll be like introductory level group. There'll be a group level for people that are experienced with this type of work that understand, if I shift how I feel on the inside, it shifts my perspective. It also shifts my body and my relationship to what's going on outside me. And then the third level will be for professionals that want to bring this work into their interactions with other people. So by professionals, maybe there'll be a better word for that, but it'll be, say, teachers that want to work within themselves and maybe teach some of this to their classroom, for massage therapists or physicians, nurses, physiotherapists, counselors, coaches, people that are in interaction with other people and want to be able to influence and relate to other people, or even just parents that are that want to be able to interact with their children or family from this much higher state, and be able to do work within themselves that has an impact not only in how they feel in difficult situations, but also because of the connection that we have through the quantum field, where literally we all are one consciousness experiencing itself from different points of view, that we can have influence on the healing of people emotionally, physically, mentally, just by understanding that our state of being is the most influential force that we can bring to bear on any situation, and then to be able to bring ourselves into those really high, happy, free states, even in the presence of the opposite. And so the work that will go on in the sessions is, still working out the format, but you'll just come in with wherever you're at, and we'll work together as a group, and it should be really fun. It should feel sacrilegious. It should feel powerful. It should feel really, really playful. And so if you're called to move forward in your own life, in your own practice, in some way that relates to what I'm describing, stay tuned, and we'll see if there's some way for us to work together. All right. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. And bye for now.